We're focusing on some of the most tested airspace restrictions for the FAA Part 107 exam: Stadium TFRs, the Washington DC Special Flight Rules Area, and other critical no-fly zones. First up is the Washington DC Special Flight Rules Area, or SFRA. Picture this as a 30 nautical mile ring around Reagan National Airport. The exam will expect you to know this dimension. But the real danger zone for your license is the inner 15 nautical mile ring, called the Flight Restricted Zone, or FRZ. Within the FRZ, drone operations are flat-out prohibited without very specific and hard-to-get FAA and TSA authorization. An exam question might give you coordinates or describe a location and ask if you can fly there. If that location falls within 15 nautical miles of Reagan Airport, the answer is an emphatic no. The key trap is confusing the broader SFRA, where some limited flights are possible with authorization, and the inner FRZ, which is a near total lockdown for drones. Next are Stadium Temporary Flight Restrictions, or TFRs. These are a favorite for exam questions because they have several specific parameters you must memorize. The rule applies to stadiums with a seating capacity of 30,000 or more during major sporting events like NFL games, Major League Baseball, and NCAA Division I football. The restriction creates a no-fly zone with a radius of 3 nautical miles around the stadium, going up to 3,000 feet above ground level. The most common exam trap is the timing. This TFR is active starting 1 hour before the event and ending 1 hour after the event. A typical question will say a game starts at 7 p.m. and ends at 10 p.m., then ask if you can fly at 5:59 p.m. You cannot. The TFR begins at 6 p.m. They might ask if you can fly at 11:01 p.m. You can, because the TFR ended at 11 p.m. To remember these specific numbers, use this mnemonic. For stadiums, think 3311, a 3 nautical mile radius up to 3,000 feet, starting 1 hour before and ending 1 hour after. 3311 will keep you out of trouble. Another confusing area is national parks. This is a jurisdictional trap. The FAA controls the airspace, while the National Park Service, or NPS, controls the land. The FAA does not prohibit you from flying over a national park. However, the NPS prohibits launching, landing, or operating a drone from within national park boundaries. So, while you could legally take off from private land outside a park and fly over it while maintaining line of sight, the exam will test your understanding that you cannot operate from park property. Finally, let's discuss dynamic TFRs, especially those for wildfires. Flying a drone near a wildfire is incredibly dangerous, as it can interfere with firefighting aircraft. The FAA will issue TFRs over these areas, and entering one can result in severe penalties, including fines up to $20,000 and jail time. The key exam takeaway is that as the remote pilot in command, you are solely responsible for checking for all flight restrictions before every single flight. This is done by reviewing notices to air missions, or NOTAMs. NOTAMs provide real-time information about temporary hazards and restrictions, like a wildfire TFR. Tools like the FAA's Before You Fly app can help visualize these restrictions, but the ultimate responsibility to check official sources like the FAA's TFR list always rests with the pilot. For free practice questions, AI-powered explanations, and more exam prep tools, visit openexamprep.com. That's openexamprep, all one word, .com.